Judaism The Series, dear viewers. Remember, you got a mitzvah every single day, and that's to have Jonathan Pollard vacated from a parole that is extremely inhumane. This is how Jonathan Pollard, 30 years ago plus, found himself in the American jails. He was released 30 years later and looks like this today. And the reason that Jonathan Pollard, the Jewish American hero, that he was incarcerated for so many years is because he had the chutzpah, he had the nerve, he had the gall to save the lives of Jewish babies, children, women, and men from being massacred by the two-legged mule, Arab, Muslim, Islamo-fascist, predator, homicide, terrorists. Jonathan Pollard kept Israel safe from these murderers by giving the exact locations of all the terrorist bases throughout the Middle East to our ally Israel. He did it without the consent of the Pentagon, and so it was an illegal activity. No other spy, especially from hostile countries, to the United States of America ever received 30 years. The only reason that Jonathan Pollard, who saved the lives of Jewish babies, children, women, and men, was given such harsh sentences is because he's Jewish. The former CIA head, Woolsey, stated the reason that Jonathan Pollard spent all this unconscionable time in American prisons is because he's Jewish. And so therefore, dear viewers, being that Jonathan Pollard was given a 5-year pardon after 30 years, which restricts his movements to the point of the absurd. He has to always wear on his body detectors. He has to adjust and call them in frequently, including the Sabbath, the Shabbos, which he is violating against his will. This is coming from a parole board that is saturated with both male and female anti-Semites. The winds of anti-Semitism have reached these shores of the United States of America quite some time ago. What we'd like you to do, what we obligate you to do, what it is mandatory to do, is to contact the President of the United States, to have Jonathan Pollard vacated, pardoned from his parole, and he'll be able to leave to the land of Israel, which he so much desires. Take out your writing utensils, and I'm going to give you the number to reach the Presidential Comments Hotline. You're going to call between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. daily. The number is 202-456-1414, 202-456-1414, 202-456-1414. Tell them that you're a registered voter and that you're requesting that the President immediately pardon Jewish American hero Jonathan Pollard. Spell his last name as Pollard. Then you're going to contact the switchboard on the house on Capitol Hill. I'll be giving you that number in a moment, where you're going to obtain the phone number, the fax number, and the email of all members of both houses, and you're going to ask them, again, as a registered voter, to have the President of the United States. They should put the onus on the President of the United States to pardon Jewish American hero Jonathan Pollard. The number is 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. 202-224-3121. Last but not least, you're going to call the President of the United States and the President of Israel and tell them both that as a registered American voter, you're asking them to pardon Jewish American hero Jonathan Pollard. The President of Israel is to nudge the President of the United States to pardon Jewish American hero Jonathan Pollard. Dear viewers, the Hanukkah holiday is a holiday that we can celebrate every day of the year. And Hanukkah transpired approximately 2,183 years ago. In the year of 165 before the Common Era, Hellenist, what we would call today secular assimilated Jews, marched into the city of Modi'in with the Syrian, Greek, Hellenist troops. They gave up Judaism and they made common cause with the Gentile, uncircumcised Hellenist Greeks and their Syrian allies. They coerced Israel to eat swine and commenced to coerce the inhabitants to ingest pork, which is an anathema to Judaism, and worship the diabolical Hellenist King Antiochus the Greek and Zeus. The Jewish traitor soldiers who accompanied the Gentile anti-Semites, the Greek Hellenists, they were the enforcers. Matthias the king assassinated the Jewish leader, Hellenist leader, and his sons initiated the revolution. Matthias, who was the high Kohen, the high priest, in the city of Modi'in, took JDA, Jewish Direct Action. Jewish Direct Action. Do you hear me? Am I loud enough for you? So the notion that Jews don't kill Jews is fallacious. It's fake news, fake news, fake news. That's what it is. And indeed, a civil war ensued between the liberation forces of the Maccabees, also known as the Hashmonaim, and the many, many Jews, as today. Most Jews worldwide are assimilated, secularized. Large portions have absolutely the faintest idea. They don't even have an iota of what Judaism is. And they made common cause as they are today. But not just outside of Israel, in the diaspora, but you have today within Israel a huge percentage who are totally assimilated. and they make common cause with the Gentile anti-Semites of the world. They receive today huge amounts of funding, not just of individual anti-Semites and group anti-Semites, organizational anti-Semites, but they receive money from the governments in Europe as well. Matthias and his sons were zealots, Kanaim, who assassinated the followers of the Hellenist king Antiochus, who had defiled the Holy Temple in Jerusalem and also had severely persecuted the Jews in the kingdom of Judea, with its capital Jerusalem, torture, rape was a common practice of the Hellenist Greeks. And the Jews revolted against the revolting occupation by the uncircumcised pagan Hellenist Greeks. And we see the parallels, as I have mentioned to you, just aforementioned. In addition, there was a so-called peace party that initiated a peace process against the wishes of the majority of the Jews in the land. And Judah the Maccabee, Yehuda Maccabee, one of the sons of Matisyahu HaKohen, Matthias, the priest, led the revolt. And when Jerusalem was liberated from the pagan uncircumcised Gentiles, a terrible thing happened. We call it today democracy. There actually was a vote. Should the Jews continue to liberate the rest of the country, or let the rest of the country be defiled and violated and have Jews tortured to death by the Hellenist Greeks? And apparently the advocates, who sound very similar as of today, how can they stand up against the superpower in that time, and that was Hellenist Greece? They advocated to allow the Greeks to occupy and persecute their fellow brothers and sisters. Just as today, you have Jews both in the diaspora and in Israel who are overwhelmed and take this ghetto slavery and cowardly and blasphemous mentality. There are hundreds of thousands of Jews in Israel that personally have no nexus to anything Jewish, absence of religious historical, and even national longings. They have been totally assimilated, and they want the desire to turn Israel into a Gentilized country, God forbid. And they have the huge backing of assimilated Jews in the United States, who for the most part are either from the non-Orthodox sectarian groups that broke off from Judaism, or Jews who are totally disconnected from Judaism. It took many, many years for the Maccabees, for the Hashmonaim, to rid the country of both the Hellenist Greek occupiers of our land and the tens of thousands of Jews who gave up their Judaism, who gave up their national identity. Today, the modern-day Hellenists, the secularists, the assimilated Jews, and as I mentioned, the heretical sects, and some ritualists have collaborated with the Arafat, and subsequent to his demise, Yamach Shemo, his inheritors, in a fraudulent, blasphemous, traitorous, so-called, quote-unquote, peace process. Pork is an anathema to Judaism, and yet it is openly eaten in Israel by over 500,000 non-Jewish Russians who came to Israel, and some Jewish assimilated Russian Jews in Israel. Both to this day are fifth columnists. If Rabin Zal, Zichrono Liklola, Zal, Zichrono Liklola, may he be remembered as a curse, Shimon Peres, Zal, Zichrono Liklola, Zichrono Liklola, may he be remembered as a curse. Ehud Barak, the late Sharon, Olmert, Livni, Yamach Shemam, may their names be eradicated. Had they been alive during the Hanukkah era, they would have been Hellenists. Ipso facto, the Maccabees would have executed them and their viewers. The main miracle of Hanukkah was that the many were vanquished by the few of us, what we term today Orthodox Jews. The secondary miracle was that when they came to purify the temple that was defiled by the Gentile Greek occupiers and the assimilated Jews, they only found one canister of pure oil that was not contaminated. That was not contaminated by the Greek Syrians, Hellenists. It only was to last for one day. That's all that was in there. It lasted for 8 days. And that is the minor miracle that transpired. But when assimilated Jews in America or anywhere in the world celebrate Hanukkah, they don't even know that the fight for freedom was from those very Jews that is the lifestyle of the present secularized, assimilated Jews. If they knew that, they would not celebrate Hanukkah. And they don't believe that the oil miracle, which physically would have lasted one day, lasted for 8 days. They desperately need some sort of a Jewish holiday to offshoot the Xmas holiday. And since both are in the month of December, in the English or in the civil or secular calendar, for them, it's a crutches that they desperately need. Our sages instituted the Al-Hanissim prayer to be recited during Hanukkah. The prayer reads, and for the miracles, and for the salvation, and for the mighty deeds, and for the victories, and for the battles which you performed for our ancestors in those days and today. In the days of Matisyahu, the sons of Yochanan, the high priest, the Hashmonayims and his sons, when the wicked Greek kingdom rose up against your people Israel to make them forget your Torah. That's what they're doing today, the assimilated secularist Jinnos. J's Jewish I is in, N is name, and O is only. And compel them to stray from the statutes of your will, Almighty. You in your great mercy stood up for them in the time of their distress. And in the time of their distress, you looked up their grievance, judged their claim, and avenged their wrong. You delivered the strong into the hands of the weak, the many into the hands of the few. That's us, Orthodox. The impure into the hands of the pure, the wicked into the hands of the righteous, and the wanton into the hands of the diligent students of your Torah, the Bible. For yourself you made a great holy name in your world, and for your people Israel you worked a great victory and salvation as this very day. Thereafter your children came to the Holy of Holies of your house, cleansed your temple on the Temple Mount, purified the site of your holiness in Jerusalem, and kindled the lights in the courtyards of your sanctuary. And they established these 8 days of Chanukah to express thanks and praise to your great name. Indeed, the main miracle was the few overpowering the many, and we, the Orthodox Jews, overcame the assimilated, secularist, collaborationist, traitor, blasphemous Jews who collaborated with the occupation of the Greek Hellenist uncircumcised pagans. At that time, the Maccabeans were what today is termed Orthodox. However, today the Orthodox don't follow the teachings of Chazal, don't follow the teachings of our sages. Maseh Ovo Simin Labanim. We are to emulate the actions of the forefathers and to take over the government of Israel and to establish a fundamentalist theocracy with a military junta to bring and help to bring tranquility to the Jewish people, to defend them, and to destroy the Gentile and the Jewish traitors the Gentile anti-Semites and the Jewish anti-Semites. Since 1948, dear viewers, the secularist governments in Israel criminally failed in security. Close to 30,000 Jews have been murdered since 1948. We're not taking here into account the thousands of Jews pre-1948. The secularists continuously surrender to the PLO Islamo-fascists. If today's Hellenists were transported back to the Hanukkah era, if all the Rabins and the Pereses and the Sharons and the Livnis and the Ehud Baraks, Yamach Shemam, may their names be eradicated, if they were transplanted back into the Hanukkah era, they would have been massively executed by the Maccabees. The Almighty instructs us, indeed the Torah outlines the total expulsion of Gentile hostiles from our lands. Numbers 33, verses 50 through 56, Bamidbar Lamed Gimel, Psukim 50 through 56. That's Nun, starting from Nun, Pasuk Nun. If we don't expel the hostiles, God tells us in Numbers, the Gentiles will harass the Jews, the Gentiles will be thorns in the eyes of the Jews, and as pointed weapons in the sides of the Jews, and the Jews will be driven out of the land. Unfortunately, in this instance, biblical prophecy comes true. Jews today are suffering this prophecy. Dear viewers, let us pray for true peace. Psalm 29. Hashem Ozlam Oyitain, God will give his people strength. Hashem Yivarech Hashem Shalom. God and God alone will give us peace with the coming of the Mashiach, with the coming of the real Jewish Messiah, who has not yet come, to whom we await daily. The peace that the world envisions for the Jewish people in general, and specifically in Israel, the peace, their peace for us is spelled P-I-E-C-E-S, pieces of Jewish body parts flying in the air, Jews being bombed, shot, axed, knifed. Dear viewers, that should happen to the anti-Semitic nation states of the world. May we pray for Tchias HaMesim, for the coming back to life of all Jews who are worthy. Since the founding father of Judaism 4,000 years ago, Abraham, the founding father of Judaism, all Jews who are worthy shall come back to life. And so shall it be.